Faint static. A cassette tape rewinds. Then, the soft crackle of an old photograph being pulled from a dusty envelope. A single tear hits paper. Silence. If you're watching this, you might be the next person whose face gets erased. Not by time, not by death, but by silence. It was 1993. A young woman named Karen Mitchell vanished after her shift at a diner in rural Ohio. No signs of struggle, no witnesses, just her car, parked neatly by the side of Route 23, and one photo, a Polaroid, found tucked inside her purse, taken just hours before she disappeared. It showed her smiling. Behind her, a man in a baseball cap, blurry, unseen, unidentified. For 30 years, that photo sat in a file cabinet. A ghost, a question mark, and the only clue left behind. Music begins. Slow, mournful cello, layered with distant wind chimes. The police called it a cold case. The family called it grief. The media called it forgotten. But that photo, it never forgot her, and neither did her mother. Pause. A clock ticks. Distant church bell rings once. Every year on the anniversary of Karen's disappearance, Helen Mitchell would take that Polaroid out. She'd sit at the kitchen table, hold it to the light, stare at the blurry face behind her daughter. "That's him," she'd whisper. "I know it's him." But no one believed her. Not the detectives, not the forensic artists, not even the FBI. They said it's too dark, too grainy, there's nothing there. So they moved on. Everyone except Helen. Sound effect, keyboard clicks, a low hum of server fans. Then in 2023, something changed. A small tech nonprofit called Project Reveal got access to a new kind of AI. Not the kind that recommends videos, not the kind that writes poems. This AI could see what human eyes couldn't. It didn't need clarity, it didn't need color. It needed memory. So they fed it this. One 30-year-old Polaroid, 17 million public mugshots, 500,000 archived driver's licenses, every missing persons report from 1980 to 2020, and then it searched. Music swells slightly. Subtle electronic tones blend with strings. For 72 hours, the AI ran. It analyzed pixel density. It mapped bone structure beneath the blur. It compared facial asymmetry. It traced the angle of a jawline hidden under a baseball cap. And then, at 3:17 a.m. on a Tuesday, it found a match. Not perfect, not clear, but close enough to be certain. The face in that photo? It belonged to a man named Robert Voss, a mechanic from Akron, convicted of petty theft in 1987, never suspected of murder, never even questioned about Karen's disappearance. He had died in 2008, of cancer, in a hospice bed, alone. Beat. Music stops, only the sound of a pen writing on paper. When investigators dug deeper, they found he'd worked at a gas station less than a mile from where Karen vanished. He'd been seen arguing with her the day before. His truck matched the tire tracks found near her car. But here's what stunned them most. He'd never been interviewed, not once, not in '93, not in 1998, not in 2005. Because no one saw him, not really, until now, voice lowers, almost reverent. This wasn't magic. It wasn't prophecy. It was mathematics. The AI didn't recognize a face. It recognized a pattern of angles, of shadows, of how light falls on skin after 3 decades. It saw what humans had trained themselves to ignore. That, in every blurred image, there's a soul, and that soul never stops screaming. Sound effect. A door opens. Footsteps on gravel. A woman crying softly. Helen Mitchell was 86 when they called. They told her, "We found him. We know who took Karen." She didn't scream. She didn't cry, she just whispered, "I knew." Then she hung up, walked to the kitchen table, took out the Polaroid, and placed it beside a framed photo of Karen, smiling at her graduation. She held both in her hands, and for the first time in 30 years, she smiled. Music returns, gentle piano like sunlight through curtains. What happened next? Nothing, because Robert Voss was already dead. Justice couldn't come for him, but it came for her, for Helen, for Karen, for every mother who held a photo and whispered, "I know it's him." Because for so long, the world said, "There's nothing there." But I didn't listen. Because I doesn't know what impossible means. Pause. A child laughs in the distance, fade into silence. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now, in labs across America, in basement servers run by volunteers, in quiet corners where people refuse to give up. Last year, I helped solve 117 cold cases. Not because it was smart, but because we finally gave it something more powerful than data. We gave it purpose. We gave it love. On-screen text appears for visual viewers. AI doesn't replace investigators. It gives them eyes they lost, and sometimes it gives families peace. Here's what you need to understand. AI didn't find Robert Voss because it saw his face. It found him because it remembered everyone else, every license plate, every arrest record, every fingerprint buried in a drawer, every name forgotten by time. It connected dots no human had the patience to trace. It didn't guess, it calculated. And in doing so, it returned a voice to the silenced, a name to the anonymous, a truth to the grieving. Voice becomes softer, intimate, as if speaking to a mother. There are thousands of Karen Mitchells, thousands of Polaroids, thousands of mothers still holding photos, waiting for someone to say, "We see him." You don't need a supercomputer. You don't need a badge. You just need to care enough to keep looking, to keep uploading, to keep saying, "Not yet. Not until we know." Because maybe, just maybe, the answer is hiding in a photo you think is too blurry to matter. Sound effect. A camera shutter clicks, faintly, then another, and another. In 2024, a group of college students uploaded 12,000 unsolved case photos to a free AI tool. Within weeks, it identified 2 suspects. One had been living next door to the victim's sister for 17 years. No one noticed. No one cared. Until the machine did. Music swells. Warm, hopeful strings rise. We used to think technology made us colder, more disconnected, more alone. But what if it's doing the opposite? What if AI is the last person who remembers, the last witness who won't forget? Maybe it's not replacing us. Maybe it's remembering for us. Final beat. Silence. Then a single word, whispered. Helen died 6 months after they found Robert. She never spoke to the press, never went on TV. On her tombstone, they carved only one line. She never stopped looking. And maybe that's all any of us have to do. Keep looking, even when the image is broken, even when the world says there's nothing there. Because sometimes the most powerful thing in the world isn't a weapon, isn't a law, it's a photograph, and the love that refuses to let it go. Final frame, black screen. White serif text fades in slowly, one line at a time. A photograph isn't just a picture, it's a promise. Someone out there is still waiting for you to see them. Keep looking. End. No music, no logo, just silence. For 10 seconds,